Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We have been discussing about yoga, and few sessions we discussed karma yoga. As I have already explained, karma yoga is the beginning of yoga. From karma yoga, one progresses on the gradual path of progress to Jnana yoga, the yoga of knowledge. So today we will discuss about Jnana yoga. Jnana yoga means to cultivate knowledge in order to establish our relationship with the Supreme. Yoga means connection or relationship with the Supreme. My relationship, our relationship with the Supreme, each one of us, we are connected with the Supreme. So yoga is the way to establish or re-establish. The relationship always exists. In this world, we are forgetful of our relationship. So to re-establish that lost relationship is called yoga. So when we attempt to re-establish our lost relationship with Krishna through cultivation of knowledge, through Jnana, knowledge, that is called Jnana yoga. In Jnana yoga, the knowledge, first of all, concerns about our own self. Who am I? Koham in Sanskrit. There is a fundamental question that is raised. Who am I? Koham. So, with reference to the Vedic literature, it is clearly explained in the Vedic literature that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. But this understanding that each one of us, we are not the body, we are spirit soul, is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. But if somebody tries to know about this fact or understand this reality or get this knowledge from the Vedic scriptures, then it takes a very long time. What is the reason? The Vedas are mostly describing what is called as karma kanda. Karma kanda means the section of the Vedas which describes what kind of pious activities a person has to perform in order to get some specific material benefit. People have so many different kinds of desires. So according to the specific desire, the Vedic scriptures, they give different ways to actually fulfill or satisfy the specific desire. Since there are millions and billions of people and there are so many varieties of desires for each person, so the Vedas are mostly filled with these different methods of fulfilling each of those types of desires. So, it is said almost 99.99% of the Vedas consists of this karma kanda section, which means the section which teaches us how to satisfy or fulfill our desires without violating the laws of God, without performing any sin. Because the Vedas say that you can either perform sinful activity or pious activity. Sinful activity you have to suffer, whereas pious activity you get the reward for doing pious activity or the recommended method of fulfilling your desire by being rewarded according to the laws of God. So therefore, the Karma Kanda section deals with the way to perform certain recommended pious activities in order to fulfill certain desires. Such type of performing prescribed methods of fulfilling desires, activities meant for that, is called sakama karma. Sakama karma. Karma means activity. Sakama means that which is meant for fulfilling certain desire. So since 99.99% of the Vedas is dealing with such sakama karma, therefore many times people who study Vedic literature, they get lost in the Vedas with so many different details of different kinds of desires which can be fulfilled by different kinds of sacrifices or different kinds of charity or different kinds of austerities or vrata or tapasya or dana or punya karma or yajna, so many different kinds of recommendations. So after a person rigidly follows all these recommendations while studying the Vedas, and after the person tries to become happy by fulfillment of such desires for material enjoyment or material benefit, and when the person is convinced that I can never be fully happy or fully satisfied by any of these material benefits, that gradually leads such a person to inquire into why is it that I am not satisfied. So that leads to the question, actually, what is my real nature? Who am I? So to come to this point of making inquiry into the self, that takes a very, 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 very long time by going through the Vedic literature, which mainly consists of this recommendations for fulfillment of material desires. Whereas Bhagavad Gita begins with this point that you are not the body, your spirit, soul. That's a very, very, very first lesson in the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita straight away begins with this point that who am I, or who is a particular person. So don't waste time with all these recommendations of the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. Directly come to the Jnana Kanda, that section of the Vedas dealing with knowledge of the self, self-knowledge, Brahma Jnana, Atma Jnana. So, Bhagavad Gita is about Brahma Jnana or Atma Jnana. That's the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita deals with this Brahma Jnana in complete detail. Detail in the sense, not just merely who am I, but also what is this world and who is God and what is my relationship with God. Everything is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. The complete knowledge, the perfect knowledge is given in the Bhagavad Gita. So, Bhagavad Gita is a perfect book of this most important branch of knowledge called Atma Vidya or Atma Jnana or Brahma Jnana, same thing. So, a person who is practicing this recommendations of the Vedas after many births becomes wise and begins to inquire into this Atma Jnana or Atma Vidya. Now, the difficulty in inquiring and trying to understand who am I from the Vedas is that the Vedas first of all describe the real person within the body to be non-material spirit. Non-material spirit. Generally, we have experience of what is matter or material variety. Our own body is made up of matter, and everywhere around us, all objects is made up of different elements of a combination of different elements of matter. So, if we study or analyze what is matter, matter is generally consisting of combination of 5 elements. Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, Kham. Earth, water, fire, air and ether or sky. A combination of this is what constitutes our body or what constitutes every material object in the entire creation. But apart from these 5 elements forming the different varieties of matter, there is also the 3 subtle elements. 3 subtle elements: Manas, Buddhi and Ahankara. Mind, intelligence and false ego. So, we have this outer gross body, then we have the inner subtle body. The inner subtle body is made up of the subtle elements: Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, mind, intelligence and false ego. Now, the spirit soul or the real self or I or you or any person is not the gross body, is different from the gross body, the external body, is different from the subtle body also. And to arrive at this understanding, to come to this conclusion, is to analyze and study and come to understand by eliminating all kinds of material varieties, both gross and subtle. So, in the process of cultivating knowledge, generally this analysis is done. Who am I? Am I earth? No. Am I water? No. Am I the fire, air? Am I the combination of these? So, generally they eliminate all kinds of material combinations, material varieties. And this process of realizing or understanding or determining or getting to the factual knowledge, getting the factual knowledge of myself, my real self, through all such analysis of everything in this world is a very, very slow process again. This slow process of cultivation of knowledge, the Vedic knowledge. In the Vedas, so many different descriptions of the self are given in terms of negative description. Just like Krishna in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, while describing the self, he gives this negative descriptions in the second chapter. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Then नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः अव्यक्तोऽयम् अचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयम् उच्यते. See, all negative. Avyakta means unmanifest. Achintya means inconceivable. Avikarya means, avikari or avikarya means unchangeable. And achedya means cannot be destroyed. Adahya means cannot be burnt. Akledya cannot be wet. Ashoshya means cannot be dried, like that. So all negative descriptions in the Vedas, in so many ways, this negative description of what we are not is first elaborately given. So by the time a person eliminates all material varieties, all matter and material varieties, it takes a very, 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 very long time. So it's a very, very gradual development of the knowledge of the self through the regular Vedic study. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is summarizing the whole Vedic literature, and in just few verses, he explains that the soul is none of this, or the self, the real you or real I. We are none of these material varieties or material combinations, but we are specifically, it is described that the positive description that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. Vinasham avyyasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. So there are positive descriptions also in the Bhagavad Gita. Ajo nityaha shashvataha ayam purano. So there are positive descriptions also. So, the positive descriptions in the Bhagavad Gita are going to definitely explain or clearly establish the positive knowledge of the real self. Now, if somebody is cultivating the knowledge through regular study of the Vedas, it takes a very, very, very long time. And the Vedic literature also, one has to study under proper guidance, under a proper spiritual master. Now, among the different Vedic scholars who have explained the Vedas, the Vedic literature, there are different classes of philosophers. Different philosophies exist as regards to what is the self, regarding self-knowledge. There are so many different philosophers. Traditionally, there are 6 different categories of philosophers who describe or who explain what is the self based on the Vedas, based on the Vedic texts. So, all these 6 philosophers, they have their own conclusion. They have their own conclusion. So, now which philosopher can a person accept as that person's philosophy is the correct understanding? That is one difficulty if somebody undertakes the study of Vedic literature in order to know about the self and the truth about the real soul, or the who am I, to know who am I by such a study of the Vedas. But then there are so many different philosophers. Then there are different class of scholars or philosophers who don't accept the Vedas at all. There are Vedic philosophers and there are non-Vedic philosophers. In Sanskrit, they are called Astik and Nastik. So, Astikvada are those who study the Vedas, but they come to their own conclusion based on their explanation of the Vedic descriptions. And the Nastikvada, they are all atheists. They don't accept the Vedas. They have their own analysis. So, the Nastikvada, they come to a conclusion that ultimately everything is void. So, there is nothing which is really existing. It's simply under illusion that we think that I exist or this world exists or anything exists for a eternal period of eternity. No, nothing exists eternally. So, we have experienced that people are born, they stay for some time and they die. Or any object that we have experienced, that it will not stay forever. It is created, it may remain for some time, then it will be completely destroyed or it will crumble. So, like that, they put forward different examples or logic they use to prove ultimately everything is void. And our goal of life should be to realize that there is ultimate reality is something void, shunyavad. Then there are a group of philosophers who are simply interested in describing that you simply enjoy life as long as you're living in this world. Don't bother about who am I and what is this world or what is the ultimate reality, because after death, everything is, at the time of death, everything is finished. There's nothing that will remain after death. One atheist by name Charvak Muni, who was very, very intelligent in the Vedic times, so he has propounded that Bhasmi Bhuta Dehasya Punaragamana Kuto Bhavet. That once the body is destroyed, once a person dies, when the body is generally burnt or buried, whatever it is, the body will completely perish. Then once it is burnt to ashes, let us say, among Hindus, generally the dead body is burnt. Then once it has become ashes, where is question of rebirth? Where is question of taking birth again? That question doesn't arise. It is simply some foolish people who think like that about life after death, rebirth, repeated birth and death. All this, according to this Charvak Muni and the atheists, this is all simply some theory that some people are putting forward. And Charvak Muni convinces people that ultimately everything is finished at the time of death. So as long as you're living in this body, enjoy life. So like this, so many different philosophies are there. Vedic and non-Vedic, both are there. So a person who tries to study Vedic literature or various other philosophers' writings definitely gets confused as to which is correct, which is to be accepted, which is to be followed. Therefore, the Vedas, it is clearly said, if you want to get perfect knowledge, you should approach a proper spiritual authority. Krishna says in the 4th chapter, the chapter on Jnana Yoga, Krishna says, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Those who are knowers of the truth, those who have seen the truth, those who are having perfect knowledge of the truth, jnaninaha, and tattvadarshinaha, those who are realize the truth, tattvadarshinaha, they can actually give the perfect, proper understanding of the reality, absolute truth or ultimate reality or self. That self-knowledge they can give. And one has to approach such a spiritual authority by submission and inquiry and service. Pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. That is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. Besides that, the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna, is accepted by all great spiritual authorities as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vedas also establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, the ultimate reality. Krishna is God, the Supreme Lord. So Krishna's statements in the Bhagavad Gita are very authoritative, completely authoritative. So Krishna's statements directly, if somebody is able to accept, study, read, understand, and follow, then very, very easily one is able to get perfect knowledge without any confusion, without any doubt, without any difficulty, without any need for studying so much of the Vedic literature with so many complicated descriptions, which anyway require, even if somebody were to study the Vedas, they require to study it under proper guidance. Merely some description in some book is not going to help a person who is searching for the reality of the truth. One of the places in the Bhagavatam, there is a very interesting analogy that is given. People say, I am seeker of truth. I am searching for the truth. Now, seeking the truth or searching for the truth, it is meaningful if you know what is the truth. How can you search for something that you do not know? It's like somebody says, I'm searching for something. Now, if you ask, can I help you? Yes, if you can help me, that would be very great. So what are you searching for? I don't know what I'm searching for. Is it meaningful to say like that? I'm searching for something, I do not know what I'm searching for. So, in the Bhagavatam it is said, many people, they claim we are seeking the truth or we are searching for the truth. But if you ask them what is the truth, they do not know. So such search for the truth or seekers of the truth, it is meaningless. It is totally absurd. So therefore, the Bhagavad Gita directs us, clearly establishes what is the truth. Satyam param, param satya. So, Krishna is the absolute truth. Krishna is the ultimate reality. And Krishna is giving us clear understanding about himself. This knowledge about Krishna. Knowledge about Krishna means it is not some belief system or some sectarian understanding that for Hindus Krishna is God. For somebody else has got belief or faith in some other God. And some people don't believe in God. This knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita is not like that. It is perfect, complete, universal, ultimate knowledge, which is systematically presented in the Bhagavad Gita by Krishna, and it is explained by the bona fide spiritual master coming in parampara, and this explanation is very, very clear, perfect, and everything is explained very nicely, consistently, coherently. So therefore, to get knowledge without any confusion, without any difficulty, we have to approach a bona fide spiritual master, and such spiritual master should be a qualified, particularly qualified in a particular way, and the way to approach and the way to get such knowledge from such a spiritual master is also explained. We'll continue the discussion tomorrow. Now I'll take some questions. Yesterday, some questions were asked. Come to the yesterday's questions. The first question, if it's said that we need not help anyone materially because all material necessities are taken care of by nature already, by the supreme arrangement of the Lord, then why are Goshalas maintained? When the scriptures say that the Supreme Lord is the maintainer of everyone, it means that the Supreme Lord has made arrangement. There is an arrangement by the Lord. What is that arrangement? That arrangement is that we are part of a elaborate system, and we have to properly fit in this system that the Lord has actually created and given us. So that's why in the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita it is explained, everyone has to do their particular duty. Just like in a family, a particularly joint family, if you know what a joint family means. There's so many members, but all of them have got specific duties. And if everyone does their duty, everything goes on very nicely. Similarly, there is a larger arrangement in this whole creation. The devatas are there, the humans are there, and the subhuman creatures are there. And above everybody is the Supreme Lord who has created this world and who has made arrangement for everyone's maintenance. So, when we say you need not help anyone materially, it means that materially helping somebody is not going to solve their fundamental problems. That is the idea. It doesn't mean that you don't have to do any duties. No. Everyone has to do their duty. So, duties are of two kinds, material duties and spiritual duties. While doing one's material duties, one should not neglect one's spiritual duties. There are both material and spiritual duties. But simply by some material help or material duties alone being performed, one cannot solve the fundamental problems of material existence. That is what is meant by telling there is no use of materially trying to help somebody who's having some fundamental problems. Second question, could you please explain more about belief as different from faith? Yes, this is very important to understand. Belief means it is based on some sentiment, some kind of viewpoint or perspective I hold. I think this is correct, or I think so and so is God, or I believe somebody is God. Now, faith is not like that. Faith is completely based on perfect knowledge. Faith is based on the ultimate reality, absolute truth. So faith is not what I believe or somebody else believes or somebody else does not believe, or somebody has tried to convince me, or somebody is very pleasing to my senses or my mind, or somebody appeals to me. No. Faith is not based on any of those individual or collective beliefs or convictions. No, it's not based on any of those things. So faith is based on the reality, the truth. And such truth is something which does not change, which is unchanging reality. Eternal truth, eternal reality. So that way faith is something very, very definite. Then the next question, Swami Maharaj, after going back to Krishna, is there chance of falling down to material world again? No, after going back to Krishna, there is no question of falling down, because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yad gatva nanivartante tad dhama paramam mama. My abode is that place having gone where one never again returns to this material world. What does it mean? It means that this material world, any planet you go, is a place of repeated birth and death. So in Krishna's abode, in the spiritual world, there is no birth, there is no death, there is no disease, there is no old age, there are no miseries, there are no calamities, there is no envy. None of those material inebrities or defects are there in the spiritual world. But then, in the spiritual world or in the material world, as spirit soul, each one of us, we have got a tiny amount of independence. That independence we exercise. That is Krishna does not interfere with our tiny amount of independence. Supposing I want to be independent of Krishna, Krishna does not prevent that. Krishna does not stop that. If I desire to be in the material world, Krishna will not force me to go to the spiritual world. So therefore, it is voluntary. You want to go to Krishna's abode, you want a life full of happiness, full of bliss, full eternal life, it is available. But it is your choice. So in that sense, the tiny amount of independence always exists, eternally exists. That's our very nature, fundamental nature. That is never going to be lost. That tiny amount of independence or choice always exists. So when we are presently in this material world, it is our choice that we are in this world. It is not that Krishna has forced us to take birth in this world or come to this world. No. Krishna does not force either way. If somebody is in the spiritual world, Krishna does not force that person to go to the material world. If somebody in the material world, Krishna does not force the person to go to spiritual world. It's your choice. If you want to be independent then of Krishna, then you are in the material world. If you want to be with Krishna, you don't want to be in the material world, then you can go to the spiritual world, you can be with Krishna. But having gone there, there is no question of birth, rebirth, or staying some time and coming back. Just like somebody elevates to the heavenly planets, they come back after some time, back to the earthly planet. They cannot remain there forever. But going back to Krishna means eternal life, forever. That is the difference in the spiritual and material worlds. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.